Hi, my name is Nicole Bauman. This is my third time recording this, so fingers crossed that the screencast works. I teach kindergarten at Everett Area School District, and this will be my fourth year teaching here. I live in Ephrata with my boyfriend and our dog and two cats. We are currently house hunting and going through that crazy journey. When I am not in the classroom, I am usually outside hiking, traveling, or at the beach. Fun fact about me, I have been to 32 states and 4 countries, and I plan on adding to that in the upcoming year. I minored in integrative STEM from undergraduate, and that's when I was first introduced to the STEM idea. I wanted to learn more about implementation into schools, so I chose to continue my learning. I also wanted to provide my students with experiences that I didn't have during my own schooling experience. So how do students learn science? I think it's important to start at what we can do as teachers to provide our students with a better learning experience, and I think that starts with engaging their prior understandings. According to Donovan and Bransford, the ideas and experience of students provide a route to new understandings both about and beyond their experience. I know from my own personal experience, when you're able to connect concepts with students' prior knowledge, they have a deeper connection to the new concepts that are being taught. I also believe that cultural background and making connections with your students is vital. We must remember that not every norm is the same for each student and must take that into account when teaching new experiences. Our readings this week touched on factual knowledge and conceptual frameworks, and I thought this was an important factor to consider. We must have knowledge that can be placed into a framework that our students are able to understand and given meaningful representation of each detail. The last thing I believe we should do as teachers is to help our students become monitors of their own learning. I love the quote from the book, "You are the owners and operators of your own brain," but it came without an instructional book. We need to learn how we learn. And I think that is so important as teachers to help our students learn the best practices for learning and how to be a better student. And remember that we are lifelong learners, and learning doesn't just take place inside the classroom, but outside the classroom as well. Beyond that, I think helping our students take ownership over their learning won't only excite them, but motivate them to want to be successful and encourage them to make their own self-discovery, again, not just in the classroom, but outside the classroom as well. When we're able to help students learn about themselves as learners, they can recognize their own strengths and their own weaknesses and how they can turn those into strengths. Now diving more into how students learn, I believe Donovan and Bransford put it best when they provided us with the idea of observation, imagination, and reasoning. Our module reading shared that Einstein emphasized the importance of imagination in scientific advancement, making it possible for the reasoning that follows observation to go beyond our current understanding. I think students need these opportunities to explore the relationship among their own ideas. We feel like we so often see science classrooms first learning new concepts and then practicing or applying them in a step-by-step experiment. Although I believe from time to time this has its benefits and it allows students to practice their knowledge, I like the idea of having students learn the concepts through the experiment, starting with observation and putting their own prior knowledge into play, then using their imagination and exploration to help guide their learning, and then coming to a reasonable conclusion or furthering their own discovery by being left with an open-ended question. I also believe fully immersing students in science, applying real-life experiences, and allowing them to be the example can help students learn science. What are the barriers to learning science? Our module talked about 3 specific barriers that stood out to me: misconceptions, preconceived notions, and cultural backgrounds. As I mentioned before, everybody's norm is different based off of your cultural background, how you grew up, what different beliefs you have, the culture that you were surrounded by, and this can bring up a lot of misconceptions. We tend to look for or accept evidence that is consistent with our own prior beliefs and either distort or fail to generate evidence that is inconsistent with these beliefs. So we kind of shut off and go blind eye to things that don't add up or match what we're used to. We also have preconceived notions. New understandings are constructed on a foundation of existing understandings and experiences. Again, we try to stay close to what we know and steer away from what we don't know. And I thought it was important that our module talks about how if we as teachers fail to address this, students will likely not change their basic conceptual understandings and will eventually hurt them in the long run. Again, we need to engage these preconceptions. We need to talk about them, discuss them, either clarify them, challenge them, or push them. Some conceptions are more firmly rooted than others, which can be more challenging for a teacher. But it's also important to remember that most preconceptions are reasonably based on students' everyday experiences. So how does my classroom adhere to what we have learned in our module readings? This was challenging for me as I am a half-day kindergarten teacher. I have an AM and a PM session, so we are extremely short on time and have to pick and choose what are the most important concepts to teach our students that day. That's why I do love and implement integrative STEM as much as possible. Some of the kindergarten topics that we talk about are habitats, life cycles, animal parts and their uses, and exploration. I really try to integrate science into my reading and my writing as much as possible. Same with technology and mathematics. Engineering is a little bit harder in kindergarten. Still trying to work on how to best implement that into my classroom. Some of the things that stood out to me in the readings was the one quote that we should criticize the ideas without criticizing the person. This is something we do a lot in my classroom. We try to focus more on the information shared rather than who is sharing it. I also liked how it mentioned it's important to be supportive of free expression of ideas while at the same time being critical of ideas. We need to welcome our students to share and not be discouraged if our ideas are inaccurate or not shared among our peers. I think attention is important, and when students are motivated and engaged, they will grasp a deeper understanding of the concepts that are being taught. All three of these things shared are something that I strive for each day in my classroom, and things that I'm still trying to work on in my classroom. What is your STEM perspective? I really appreciate how the module reading shared so many different perspectives on STEM. I was not aware of all the different perspectives, and after reading it, I still fall with the science, technology, engineering, mathematics perspective. I believe in those 4 concepts and the blended learning module. Again, like I said, I'm a half-day kindergarten teacher, so whenever I can blend each area into another, I try to do my best. Like I said, I like to put science in with reading and writing, mathematics with technology, just blending as much as possible.